On the Choose to Think podcast, I will encourage and empower you to engage and optimize your best thought life in practical, meaningful ways so that you can live day by day in joy, peace, and God's purpose despite all externals. This is Victoria, and welcome back to the Choose to Think podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Hey, well, my name is Victoria Walker, and I'm sure I know quite a few of you, and some of you I don't. But I host a podcast called Choose to Think. It's an inspirational podcast. And I've got such good news to share with you about my daughter. I have 4 children, and my oldest, her name is Elaine, and she has 2 children. And she and her daughter, who is about 8 now, they have created a shop on Etsy called, let me get this right. It's called, oh my gosh, Our Storybook Lane. I think I have that right. And the amazing thing is that the 2 of them really are creating what are called sensory kits. Have you ever heard of that? I had not heard of that before until she opened her business. And basically, if you're like a mom or a nana like I am, and you don't want to stick your kids in front of a screen all the time, and you would rather that they be busy, using their imagination, kind of using their hands, doing something fun, creative, and engaging, then this is what you could give them. It's called a sensory kit. And again, their store is called Our Storybook Lane. It's all one word, but I'm going to put the link in the comments. It's a shop on Etsy. And so basically what you're getting are a whole bunch of manipulatives that you would give your child or your grandchild. And they make this amazing, you can see it right here. It's homemade Play-Doh with some sparkles in it. And so you're not getting any of the toxic junk, and all the chemicals that you might be getting. So you know that your kids are playing with, or your grandkids are playing with safe materials. And so you get these kits and they're kind of thematic. And the one that I got is called, I think it's called Something in the Springtime. And so you get all these little, think about springtime, like right now we are, and you get all these little things that they have put together in order to give your kids or your grandkids, and then just let them play. But it's kind of with a theme. And there are any number of little teeny things like flowers. Here's a ladybug that I have in my kit, and I think this is a beaver, building its dam, some little pine cones, some leaves, like a gazillion. If I can kind of show you like this, but you may not be able to see it just as well. But there are a gazillion little things and figures and tactile little items that, like, oh my goodness, there's a little swan. I'm just kind of discovering it now because I just got it. And here's like a little piece of garland. And really, I used to remember my granddaughter, Elaine's daughter, who would come to my house to visit, and she would spend hours out in the yard, and she would create these little teeny fairy places or little places just using her imagination. And I loved it. She would really spend hours there. Now, I think that what Elaine has in mind is to eventually combine these kits, these sensory kits, which stimulate engagement and creativity and imagination in our kids, to use those in combination with books and telling a story. That's where she gets Our Storybook Lane. Let me read to you what she says, and you can read the reviews. The shop is basically just opened, and Elaine describes herself like this. She's a higher ed English professor turned maker and mama. And she says, "Hello, new friend. My name is Elaine. I'm a cleft mama of 2. Ella, who is 7, she's soon to be 8, and Romeo, who's 10 months old. Pre-pandemic, she earned her MA in creative writing and was working in higher ed, teaching humanities and English. After having another baby, her priorities shifted back to home, but her love for creating and teaching remains. Let me just say, she's an extraordinary teacher. And Of course, I'm going to brag on her, but she is amazing. I home educated my children for 19 years, and Elaine is now home educating her two children, my grandbabies. And the difference between the two of us is she's like superior, extraordinary. I was just like surviving or something. I don't know. She does life so well, and is really invested into their education, maybe in a way that, well, I was invested, but I don't know. I just look at her and I stand in awe of how she's doing her homeschooling. And let me tell you, creativity is right at at the edge of all that they do. And she says that although the shop is in its baby stage, she has a lot of ideas moving forward, and she can't wait to have you along in the journey. And she welcomes any questions along the way. You can email her, Elaine, at ourstorybooklane.com. That's all one big long word, ourstorybooklane.com. And you can also check her out. They've already had 9 sales here just as she was launching, and she would love to give you a discount, which is one of the reasons I've popped on here. For all the Choose to Think Inspirational podcast listeners, you can use the code C2T friend, all caps with the number 2, and you can get 10% off your first order. She also takes custom orders. So if you would like a little kit, say around Easter, since Easter's coming up, or Resurrection Sunday, she can do mini kits for you. And they really just go over the top. So if you're looking for a gift, a birthday gift for a young child, those pre-elementary age, preschool age, all the way up to, well, I don't know when it would really expire. Ella's still playing with them and loving them. Then this might just be the gift for you, to get your kids off the screen and doing something imaginative and creative. So thank you so much for listening and for watching this video. And I would love it if you would reach out and give her a little love as she's just launching this business to help your children become a little bit more creative, imaginative with these manipulatives, these hands-on sensory kits that allow them to kind of just be kids. Don't you remember those days when kids were just kids and they did fun stuff, and we shooed them outside and get outside, go out and play. And kids are missing that, or some kids are these days, and instead they're more isolated in front of screens, and that's all well and good, but we want to help increase their intelligence in a way that's relatively easy. So God bless you, and thank you for listening, and please give my daughter Elaine some love. Thank you.
It's a wrap, Brain Changer, and until next time, Dios primero y que Dios te bendiga. Ciao.